I'll read you today's post. It's hard to challenge a sitting government that has bad policies when the former government installed the legislation they rely on to create them, especially when a lot of these expensive, crazy obsessions are passed down to local government who blindly follow the narrative without any challenge. What if the councils who control the budgets decided not to follow the narrative, but to investigate and come up with real solutions? What if a group of people so fed up and hacked off with the way the country is run decided to take the risk of cancel culture and stand for a party that wants to change the narrative? Currently, 670 councillors did just that. They now control the budgets of 10 councils, equating to over £20 billion of taxpayers' money every year. They've inherited billions in debt from previous bad spending by councils who didn't just put the taxpayer first. Vanity projects, green agendas, fake bills run up in the millions. Currently, a volunteer crew of top tech people are using AI to sift through the balance sheets of those 10 councils to eradicate waste of our taxes. This young team aren't doing this for money. They actually have their own money, which they created themselves. They're doing this to begin to turn the country around, and it can be done. It's happening now. There's 3,000 council elections next year. That's a lot more control out there, up for grabs. Whilst Labour are trying to dismantle the country, Reform are taking the scaffolding away. Now, the reason I've said that, there's always a lot of talk on social media about people saying, oh, well, Nigel has no policies. Of course he has, he's got a manifesto. And his policies have never changed. Just because he's not bleating on about it on social media every day because he's handling that many different things doesn't mean the policies aren't there. But what you've got to look at is the importance of what's just happened in this country. I don't think people have any concept of the pushback that this has created. Starmer's already making himself look a clown on the world stage. Trump's just sorted that one out. And then the council level elections that we've just had, gaining control of 10 councils that are not in Labour hands and not in Tory hands, is a mammoth leap forward. It's absolutely brilliant what's happened. Because the people it's attracted aren't typical local government types. They're not people who want to be in politics. They're people like me who got hacked off with how things are going and decided to give it a go. And believe me, when they've done that, there's an amount of risk that comes with it. People treat them differently. Organisations treat them differently. People get challenged because it's reform, because they're seen by the mainstream as an edgy right-wing party, which they are not. So I respect that effort that's gone in. And I think it's one of the most important moves we've had in the last 10 years. Probably the most important move since Brexit. And people will be attracted to this because the ones that have gone into the councils haven't gone into it because they want to have an income out of it. They've gone into it because they want to change things. Next year there's another 3,000 council elections. If you can get seats there, that's more and more control. The budgets that they control, as I said in the blog, £20 billion a year currently in the hands of people who think like me and you. Plus the 2 mayors that they've got, plus the Tory MPs come across to them now. So they're back to 6, well, they're back to 5 with Sarah Porchin. She's only come into politics because she's hacked off with the country. She's not come into politics because she was a mayor, which was a bit of a ceremonial role, and she's been a magistrate. She's a pretty fair and reasonable woman. She's made some good efforts in Parliament in Westminster in question time, even at the point of being ridiculed by that dope who's in number 10. And the way to do this, the only way to do this, is if you've got someone nibbling at the bottom to break it down, then by the time it comes to an election, there isn't time to just sit back and wait for an election and listen to the other characters that are spouting on about policy. And Nigel has no policies. Of course he's got policies. Try and read it manifesto. But the more important thing is, part of this, it's almost like a silent revolution. Because nobody's done this before. Nobody's stolen this power base away. It's happened. It's happening. People are fed up. People are going to something that they're going to give it a go because they cannot trust the other two parties. I will never trust the Tories. Well, they have the audacity to sit a man like Jeremy Hunt in front of me and call him a conservative. A man who worships China, married to a Chinese woman, thinks they got lockdown right and they were hardcore, thinks mandates were right. This man is not a conservative. So while he sits in that party, to me, that's the flagship of, hello, there's something seriously wrong with this lot. And the ones that are any good need to dump the badge. One's just done it. A really quite charismatic young man has dumped the Tory badge and crossed the House to reform. That takes courage. I admire courage. And it takes courage to do that. Because common sense tells you, hang on, this party's been going nearly 200 years. They're finished. They're done. And I'm not hanging around waiting for two posh boys to get their act together one way or another while one sits there deciding whether to go to a new party or deciding to go back to Tories. No thanks. And that doesn't mean I don't support that individual on sensible policies. He put a petition up about changing the sentencing laws for social media posts. Brilliant idea. I shared it. I backed it. He thanked me for doing it. There's no animosity there. But I will not back somebody trying to destroy something, which is what I'm trying to support, when they've nothing else on offer. There's nothing on offer except whatever he can do in that seat. And so it's not that I've got an axe to grind. I wouldn't destroy something if I didn't have anything to replace it. It's like burning your house down and saying, where do I sleep tonight? So that's where I sit. And people get so many things wrong. They mix stuff up. They see, like, a typical example, Reform have introduced the Britannia card. Do you know what it is? Do you actually understand what it is? Because it's got nothing to do with digital ID. Just because it's got the word card on the end, it's got nothing to do with it. Your co-op card's got nothing to do with digital ID, has it? Or your Boots Points card, nothing to do with it. This is the same thing, designed to attract the super rich to invest in Britain. There you go. If you want to invest in Britain, there's your Britannia card, 250,000 quid please, and you can come and invest in Britain. And we won't tax your offshore assets. And it doesn't mean they're not paying tax in this country for what they do and create in this country. It means we won't tax their offshore assets, which is what Rachel Reeves has just done the complete opposite, which is why people are leaving the country. They used to call it the brain drain the last time Labour were in. Now it's happening again. People are leaving in droves, taking the wealth with them, we need rich people. We need rich people who bring employment to the country, who pay tax in the country. We need it. And Labour they're just idiots. Honestly, that front bench is like the bloody thick table at school with really bad dress sense. And so the Britannia card is just that. That's all it is. Switzerland run a similar scheme. Italy run a similar scheme. Greece run a similar scheme. They want to attract people to invest there. Portugal has something similar on a more domesticated way. And really, if you look at the Britannia card, when you look at it, it's just exactly what Donald Trump has done in America, and you don't fear him. So there's nothing to fear. It's all about, really, if you're worried about something, just search it, just Google it. Google's not going to come up with the wrong answer about that. If you're looking for links on things, it can only come up and tell you what it is. So obviously I know because I've dealt with what Reform are doing with it. The combination of everything that's going on at Reform's ground, grassroots level, is going to make this country a success if they can get into government. They're going to turn it round. They've got the facilities to turn it round. And believe me, no matter how much you want to fight Islam and Islamification and extremism, you're not going to fight anything if you don't get rid of communism. Do you see the Chinese fighting much? No, they're stuck with it. And you've only got to look at the laws and this new policing act and the stuff that they're bringing in, the legislation. Basically, in Germany, they're now arresting people for insulting people online. I'll be in a bloody gulag in my 80s. Still, I won't have so far to go to the toilet. Well, it'd just be right next to me. You know what I'm trying to say, though, seriously. So I wouldn't, I'm sticking my colours to what I see work. And I'm looking at a man who's putting 18-hour days in. I'm looking at his volunteers. His volunteer force, headed by Zia Youssef, they're putting 12 and 13-hour days in. Who gets volunteers to do that? These are rich men that don't need the hassle in their lives. They're doing it because what do you do if you don't? You end up with a country you don't want to live in. And actually, people don't want to keep relocating. I feel like that. I don't want to have to leave my house. I love my house. I love my garden. I love living here. I like bumping into Diane at Co-op. I like it when she says, "Hiya, flower." I like being around my own people. I don't want to have to bugger off somewhere to save getting taxed to death. Besides, where is it to go? You can't go to Canada, you can't go to Australia, you can't go to Europe. Places are buggered. So I'm just explaining myself today. So nothing to worry about with the Britannia card. It's got absolutely nothing to do with digital ID. I can show you pictures of Nigel. There you go. Does that look like a man who wants to bring in digital ID? I'll tell you what cracks me up as well with this government. This is how numb they are. Dead. You know, Ed Billy Balls talks like a cokehead. Not saying he is one, just sounds like one. Very nasal, isn't he? Very nasal. He could probably play a Mongolian nose flute. We're buying gas from Norway and it's expensive. And they're getting it out exactly the same seabed that we're not allowed to use. Ta-da! That's how numb they are. That's your front bench. And Angela is going to build 7 million teen houses. She's going to build them herself in an hard hat and an high visibility jacket with them bloody trainers that she wears. She must have bad feet. Must be a thing with Labour. Lammy has them as well. So that's all it is. But when you've got a government that's actually buying gas, 55% in 2022 of the gas we use came from Norway. They're mental. Absolutely crackpots. Get them out, get them out.